Good morning. I was going to go through and do a garden tour, but I was watering and got sidetracked, and I'm going to walk over here and show you guys. I grabbed my harvest basket. Everything's looking pretty good. I transplanted a bunch of stuff last night, so we'll go through that. And hence I wanted to do some good early watering. The celery was not looking so good. But I get over to this side and some of the peas fell on the tunnel, pushing some of the tomatoes down. And so I want to make sure that the tomatoes can get strung up. And since the peas are starting to yellow now anyways, I'm gonna pull a bunch of these that have fallen over down this morning and harvest as much peas as I can. They're in really good shape. They've been deliciously sweet, and so we've been really enjoying having them. But it looks like this centerpiece and maybe even this one needs to come down. I'll try to leave this right now, and I'll leave the ones that are up tight against the cage. And then over here, I'll have to get my clips because these tomatoes are starting to take over the aisle. So I'll need to pull these up to the cage also. So a little sidetracked from the morning tour, but I will get to harvest these peas, cut this back, and then I will begin the tour for the day. All right, now finally ready for the garden tour. So I just removed all of those peas that had pulled these tomatoes down over the edge of the bed. And I have these to go into our compost. And here's a bunch of the peas that I harvested. I did pick actually quite a bit of peas yesterday, so I'm surprised I had that much for today. It seems to be one of the main things we're eating right now. So anyways, I'm really overall happy with how the peas did on the tunnel and with the tomato plants. They didn't starve out the tomato plants as much as I thought they would. And so overall, it was a success on a succession planting, and something I'll probably try again. So excited for that. The beans on this side of the tunnel are starting to do really well. I do have a couple pickling and cucumbers that I'm hoping will do all right. And I also have some watermelon here. So we'll see how those do. The alyssum going down, hanging over the edges here, looked really good. So I did transplant another alyssum on this other side. Probably want to plant some right here to drape over in the interior as well. Everything's doing pretty good. Onions are doing really well. I've got a lot of cherries, tomatoes on here. So I'm excited for those. Here's some more. This one's a Valentine. I think it's a grape technically. This is also a Valentine, F1. This little dude is a, clementine. This was a sucker that I transplanted and got some roots on. This one, is the mushroom basket. You can start seeing the shapes there. Over here, this is a Torrejino cherry. It's a gold orange cherry. And this one is the Baker Creek cover that I got in a trade. Start seeing these gorgeous tomatoes. I will be tying this up to the cage hopefully later today, see if I can do it. I might have to do it very loosely and retrain it to go back up and over. On the back side, we have the Rose de Bernie here. And somewhere here is the Sunrise Bumblebee, is this guy right here. So this will be a really fun, colorful wall of tomatoes. And the beans are really doing well coming up and over to the top. I don't know if I will have extra space to plant any beans or cucumbers or anything coming up over on this side. I think the tomatoes might actually just cover the whole half of the tunnel. I am having some issues with the cabbage worms, so I will be treating these again later. It rained after I'd put some DE on it, so gotta probably do that later today now that I just watered. I also have to watch because I have some flowers right here. I don't want the DE to spread to the flowers. The celery I did transplant from the garlic bed where I had it. So after harvesting the garlic, so a couple of these guys look really sad. It'll take a few days hopefully for them to recover. The status is doing really well. This watermelon's starting to grow outwards, which I actually might let it because then it will actually reroot a couple of times and then I'll string it maybe back up in one of the gap areas. I need to make more bouquets. Our stock here is doing really well. So I'll probably cut some of these and make some bouquets this morning. And I keep retraining the beans. They get a little cranky and fall off the cage a little bit. So I just keep reminding them where they're supposed to be going. And that way they don't come out into the front bed. This is only a 2-foot wide bed. It's the 2 8-in-1s put together and put into the skinnier formation. So with that, in order to have growing space on the front, I really have to make sure that I am constantly training these beans and reminding them where they're supposed to go. Here. The brassica bed is doing pretty well. I did have some cabbage worms here, but the DE actually did get them mostly. So I will probably treat these again as well. And the beets that I planted in between each of the rows are doing pretty well. Goal today is to treat them and put that cover on and try to get Jace to help me real quick on putting some covers on a few different things. I may actually need to put the larger hoops or the double hoops on. And this 8-in-1, this is a 6-in-1 birdie's bed. This is a new bed this year. In this one, this is an 8-in-1. The cayennes are loaded, which I like to see. And get out of the sun here. We've got the ageratums in the center here. It's just an annual cut flower. Some onions, some carrots, let's see, some celery. And on the ends here, these are Thai chilies. So I've got some Thais on here. And then this is the Ancho Gigantea or something like that, here and here. And the rest of the bed, it was cayennes. Actually, I lied. There's one jalapeno that got mislabeled. So, right in here. Over here, we've got our bells. Mostly bells. I'm gonna move this guy. He will break his own plant here. Out of the V. Give him some room to grow. We are starting to get loaded with bell peppers, which I'm excited to see. If you haven't yet, I did do a how to prune your peppers, how I prune my peppers. You guys can prune however you would like. Everyone's got their own techniques. But this has worked really well for me. I do have a orange picnic here. These are larger than I thought they were gonna be. So it's exciting. And we are actually going to pick one for lunch, I think. It is over here. If you remember on the pruning video, I left a couple of these right at the V's, but I said I normally don't. That's so I can have early peppers, but I don't want to do them on all of the plants. So here's the first bell pepper of the year. Not huge. This will make a great steak and cheese though, which I'm excited about. You can see there's some more coming. These are 32 pepper plants in this one bed. Same formation I did last year. These are mostly ace bells in that bed, just your standard. Behind us we have the garlic bed that I just harvested. So I moved all the alyssum out last night and the celery out last night. I do have some lettuces that are still in there, and if it stays cloudy for a few more minutes after the tour, I will move the lettuces as well, otherwise I'll just harvest them. This will become potatoes today. Onions will probably get harvested and I think I'm going to put them right in the dehydrator to get them to a onion powder, hopefully. Sweet potatoes. This guy's taken off. I'm really excited about these. Never grown them before, still haven't done the straw, so all the potato beds need the straw, so we'll get there eventually, right? That's the cayenne bed again. Nebraska. So this is a 9-in-1 Birdie's bed. This is the one I just posted yesterday about harvesting potatoes at 56 days, which for that 56 days, I cannot believe the harvest I got. And they were all seed potatoes that I had grown last year out of this, that we planted on Mother's Day this past year. So I'm really excited about that. But I wanted to make sure that I had the 90 days or as close to 90 days as possible for the second half of the season. So I'm always watching my average last frost date and counting backwards to make sure that I have the stuff for the pantry, the storage, and all that stuff. So that I want full-size potatoes out of this bed and out of this bed, so they actually will store for the winter. Let's see. Over in the whiskey barrels, I have snapdragons in the middle. I need to weed this. And then I have snapdragons in the middle here with some baby basil. This bed right here are poblanos mostly. Some of these are massive. You can see the size of the bell pepper to the poblano. These are the Trident poblanos in here. Really healthy for early season. I'm very happy with that for early July. One of our favorite peppers. It makes amazing sauces, or chili rellenos are really good. I'm probably saying that wrong. Basil on the edge, carrots on the edge, and some celery, and some snapdragons sprinkled in for color. And then guajillos over on this end are looking really healthy. So we want the guajillos to go red and then we'll dehydrate, but they actually are a decent flavor. So in the short term, we do end up picking some of these as early peppers as well because they grow really fast. Our fennel's doing really well. I've never grown it before. It looked sad for a minute. I cut it back, it looks good again. So we'll keep watching it. And then our celery that all got eaten from the other bed that I transplanted a few weeks ago. And of course, onions sprinkled in. So here's the second bed of sweet potatoes. This is a different variety. The one that I thought died is actually coming back now, so I'm happy about that. This is the organic Mahone. If anyone has suggestions on sweet potatoes, please feel free to let me know. I'm always willing to learn on gardens. This alyssum I transplanted last night, so it's going to look really crappy for a little bit. Over here, these are also sweet peppers, mostly, except for the end has a few cayennes. These are mostly red picnic, orange picnic, and escamillos. And you gotta check out these. So these are the orange picnics, which is what I thought the size was supposed to be, but I think it's because the plants are smaller and I let them go to fruit. But look at this escamillo. I did not realize these escamillos were that big. So lesson learned. I should probably look at the size of the fruit. And then we have cayennes over here. Some more celery, some more carrots, onions. You're probably seeing a theme. This bed, the onions are actually starting to get really nice and starting to bulb, which I like to see. I'll show you some more over there. The carrots are doing really well. Our pepperoncinis are loaded. We will be picking some of these for next weekend for some friends. Got some celery and parsley in the center there. Alyssum, more carrots. There is a poblano that's getting eaten by bugs or slugs, probably both. and weighted down, so I need to stake that up. I have a bunch of serranos here, and jalapenos. Picked a jalapeno for Jay's salad yesterday. He really liked the flavor. Was pretty excited about it. And some more shishitos or pepperoncinis, whatever you call them. About ready to pickle those. Probably do some early pickles. Over here, I stuck some lettuce in some random spots. This is more celery that I moved last night, so it's gonna look really sad. Hopefully that recovers. I moved the extra tomato that was over here last night. So that's in the hoop house now. This bed is a low Birdie's 8-in-1. Sorry for the wrens. The house wren babies in the birdhouse are very hungry. So getting fed every 5 minutes here. And so all of these are 2 different types. They're Clementine 2 ounces or Mountain Magic 2 ounces. We did do the Mountain Magic last year. This one is a big beef, I think. So this is kind of the oddball out. And lots more onions. And look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? So happy with the onions this year. Hopefully they continue to do well. These next 2 beds, I planted the onions much later, so they're a little bit smaller, same seeds, but didn't transplant them in to give them their own space. Most of these are the San Marzanos, except for this one corner here, which is one of the 2 ounces. I just don't know which one. Lots of fruit. I did have some blossom end rot, probably due to me watering, and then it rained really heavily. And so, and then we had 90 degrees days, so felt like I had to water it again. So I've been watering a little bit more than normal on these. And so I do need to continue to clip these up today. I got that whole back half done. So now I have this half left, and I did the whole big 50 tomato bed behind there last night. This bed is still a little bit messy, and I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. I think Jay's OCD is rubbing off on me. I may clip this back down to single stems instead of trying to clip every one of these oddball guys up. The stalk in the center, again, just gorgeous. Really happy with it. Basil sprinkled in. I've got more ageratum in there, alyssum, lots of onions. And Jace did try the first Torrehino cherry, and it was really, really sour. So we'll wait for those to finish ripening up. They're supposed to be really sweet, so it probably was just a little underripe, but it'd fallen off. So over here in the 4 8-in-1s put together, our tomato load is really crazy. I'm very happy with it. Everything's looking pretty good. Drip line's helping a ton on watering time and water usage, which I'm really happy about. Got some basil, some snapdragons, some alyssum, celery, parsley, all sprinkled in here. Got some lettuce. Having the lettuce right on the drip line actually really helped. And then having it underneath the tomatoes for shade seems to be doing really well. Onions are doing well in the center. These are a different type, I think, than the other ones. So I'll have to look up which ones are which again. Pretty happy with those. I've got some potato bags over here, ones that I forgot to fill up. I just kept on forgetting to do it. So I'll have to probably harvest these, and I don't expect a big harvest out of these ones. There's one tomato over here that is probably like, I don't know how many tomatoes put together, but it is massive. And you can see here, it actually has 2 tops, which leads me to believe it's at least 4, if not more. and it's like a donut. So I don't know if it's really one tomato, or if it's got 2 stems, 2 feeding spots that's coming in. But I just found that really interesting. So kind of fun. We'll see how that goes. This is 27 feet long. It's 4 8-in-1s put together, and 50 tomato plants in there. Somewhere around over 300 onions in that one bed. We finally got our antique scale, a good spot to hang. So we'll take this down when it's windy, but used it yesterday to weigh the potatoes. If you didn't watch that video, I highly recommend it. It's the one I posted right before this. So this guy, I'll have to set it again, can go around 3 times to up to 30 pounds. We got 18 pounds of potatoes yesterday. Moving into the hoop house. Got a bunch of zinnias and cosmos growing, a bunch more squash that I need to transplant, and more lettuce start, so we'll be ready soon. Up here I've got basils, 3 different types of basils, marigolds, a bunch of marigolds, and some amaranth in the front here, which I'm excited. I've never grown that before, and I'm really late starting it, so we'll see how that goes. Got the orange ties and the regular ties in here. Doing really well. I still have a couple things that I'm really far behind on planting. Back one is a bell pepper. It was supposed to be a habanero, so the tags got switched. I should have known from the leaves. And then we have primatalis, peach scotch bonnets, and let's see. Oh, habanero over here. And then stock in the middle and alyssum. The green stock's looking a little sad. I need to spend some time on it. I do need to fertilize it. But I did get finally the sage just transplanted in, so it's looking a little sad. And the rosemary, so we'll get those up and running here a little bit better. And then I've got parsley and a bunch of strawberries and alyssum. I'm tempted to move this out of the hoop house for the next few months and then move it back in when it gets cold again. These are the tomatoes I moved last night. I need to come back and trim them all down. I should have done that before I planted it, but it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock last night, so just wanted them done. So they'll look a little sad for a little while. And Jace has gotten 3 of the lines done. So I'm kind of cheating and put 2 on one line here. But I lowered and leaned these. So if I show you, these ones in the back, that is actually rooted way over there. It will actually root wherever it's touching the soil though. And you want to make sure the tomatoes are not touching the ground. They look really close, but they actually are free floating. Otherwise you can get bugs and diseases, more like that. But so these will come down and go back up. And then when they grow all the way up to the top again, I'll lower more string down and move them over, and then they'll continue to go down here. So as I'm going to plant stuff in here, I'm going to plant in between where the vines will lay down. Hoping to put the squash and cucumbers in here, try to help it from the bugs and contain it a little bit more. So I do need to fill this back up with some really good compost and probably some worm castings and some all-purpose fertilizer of some sort. This had the carrots, so at least it does have a nitrogen boost in theory. And then we'll be able to do lower and lean on the cables over on this end. So here on the leach field garden, this is where we do cut flowers. Jace was able to put the holes in for me on that far bed. So that will be a lot of snapdragons and sunflowers, I think. If I can get the sunflowers to grow without the animals eating them. The stock, like I said, I have a lot of cut flowers. Bouquets I can do now, and for me a lot is more than one, so I'm not doing a whole flower farm here yet, but the status is also doing really well here, which I'm excited about. I kind of like that pinkish purple and white status. I did get a bunch of the snapdragons, almost a full tray, transplanted in over here, and I do believe this is one amaranth that actually grew that didn't get eaten, or whatever. So this whole thing had been seeded with zinnia seeds and amaranth seeds, and only one plant actually came up from direct sowing. Hence the trays are very behind now. Over here in the new perennial garden, kind of the rock wall perennial garden is what I've been calling it. This one has the borage. It's from seed, doing really well. The bees love it, so that's good. I put a bunch more snapdragons in here. You'll see they're cut. I did trim them, hoping to get drip line put up in here, but I'm not sure when I'll get to that. The rose bush died, so I'll have to take that out. And looks like the deer got my bee balm in the back, which I was really bummed about. But excited for this guy to open, and the lavender's doing all right. The peony was doing all right, but now it looks like something broke it. Butterfly bush is in between blooms, and I just deadheaded a bunch of things, so there's not as much color over here now. The asparagus has done well, happy with that. There's some stalk here in the front. And then I have a bunch of squash and watermelon over here. I was thinking about putting some more squash in the back there where the seeds didn't grow. Turning around. The tomatillos got hit really bad. This one got really eaten on the right-hand side, so I do have more of those growing that plant out. And the garlic I harvested earlier this week. And the onions are doing pretty good. And these beds, I do need to come weed them and then put more compost on top, fertilize, and plant. So one of these rows will probably be squash, tomatillos, and I might try to do a broccoli, I'm not sure. I did weed the pumpkin patch over here a little bit last night. It's not perfect yet, but at least it's better than it was. And I do have summer squash here on the end as well. These are some of the pie pumpkins and some of the giant pumpkins. So Jay's been watching a bunch of YouTube about this. I think we need to loop this guy back around, it sounds like. But we've got some pumpkins started at least. We'll see how they do. Over here, chipmunks and bunnies or whatever ate almost all the front of the silver queen corn. So we just have, eating more still. We just have the silver queen, the second half of these two rows. I don't think we'll have enough season to do the silver queen. I think it's a 90+ day crop, but I could do a shorter day corn here on the end, and we really need to weed this back end. So lots going on up here at Flicker Hill. We've got gardens all over the place, and harvest time is getting really good. We're starting to eat a lot out of the garden already, and Jay can't wait for the tomatoes to make that TikTok cherry tomato feta pasta. It's one of his favorites. So hopefully he'll be eating that in the next week or two. I did check, we're not that far behind. I think right around now our tomatoes were just starting to ripen last year. So definitely not bad from season to season to look back. And harvesting a bell about a week earlier than last year, even if it is a little small. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. And thank you all for watching, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll continue to do the garden tours as well as the tips and activities updates that we have going on in the garden. And I'll show you guys the progress when I can. Happy gardening.